Hello. Thank you again for coming to my YouTube site and looking at some of the videos. Again, I'm getting quite a few emails and quite a few requests to continue with this series of instructions. I hope this is helpful to you for understanding basic concepts of secondary dominance. Now, secondary dominance, especially in the college classroom, is a very intimidating type experience. So hopefully this will be really, I'm going to try to simplify this. It's really easy, actually. Every key has a dominant. So in the key of C, no sharps or flats, there's a dominant. Dominant is the fifth scale degree. So in the key of C, we have C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. The fifth scale degree is G. C. And typically when you want to figure out the dominant, we learned Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Twinkle, twinkle. That interval or that distance between the root and twinkle, twinkle, that's the interval of a fifth. Perfect fifth. So that's the dominant. So we build a chord on that dominant key or on that scale degree. That's the dominant. That's the primary dominant. That's the dominant of that key. Now, if you build a chord on G and you build it every other note up to the seventh, you have G, B, D, F, which gives you a dominant chord. So what the dominant does, it's like a pointer. It just points you and it points your ear toward the tonic. Here's tonic, here's the 5. That's dominant. See how it kind of points you to this? Now, what a secondary dominant does, a secondary dominant does the same thing, but it's in the key, and you have to make alterations to a chord so that it'll temporarily point to another chord in that key. So say, for instance, we're in the key of C. The primary dominant in C is G. Now, I want to go to the 4 chord. So I want to go from C to F. I want to go to F. So F is in the key of C. But I want to put a secondary dominant to temporarily make F the key that we're the tonic. So that's called tonicization. So we want to take and make F the temporary target or the temporary tonic. So we would have to, we could put a dominant 7th chord or a C dominant 7th, which would require an alteration temporarily. So if I wanted to go from C to F, I could do this. So as soon as I put that B flat, as soon as I build a dominant chord on C, as soon as I make that alteration and lower that 7th, I am now temporarily in the key of F. But really I'm still in the key of C. But that secondary dominant is functioning in the key of F as the 5. As the primary dominant in F. So if you went to the key of F, C7 is the primary dominant in the key of F. But we're still in C. So when you make that alteration, just because you want to have a little more of an interesting journey to the key of F, you take and you lower the 7th in C to a C dominant 7. You take a C chord and make it C7, and it gives you temporary motion and pointing to F as the target or the tonic. So if I'm in the key of C, And gospel musicians especially do all kinds of creative things. Like if they were in the key of C, check this out. But they're still in the key of C, but they did all of those secondary dominant function type things, which simply gave you some travel, some interesting travel from the tonic or from the root to the fourth. Now, the secondary dominant concept can happen all over the place. Like if you want to go to A or the sixth scale degree, which is minor, you can employ secondary dominance there as well. So that's simply building a dominant chord a fifth away from wherever you want to go. So if I want to go to the fourth, now if I want to go to A minor, I'll figure out what's a fifth away from A minor, which would be E. And then you could build, you can do this kind of thing. See, so you've put a secondary dominant there, which would mean that you would build a E dominant seventh chord, and the alteration would be E, G sharp, B, E, G sharp, B. You remember that whole pattern? A, C, E, G, B, D, F. Well, E, G sharp, B. That's that same pattern. E, G sharp, B. Now, the reason why it's a secondary dominant, because in the key of C, G sharp is not in the key of C. So you've had to make an alteration for a temporary tonic, which would be the A minor. That's your target. That's where you want to go. Thank you. Hopefully this was helpful to you in understanding the fundamentals of secondary dominance.